Warning, what you are about to watch may or may not contain graphic content. Any information presented in this documentary is for conspiracy entertainment purposes only and has neither been confirmed or denied. The views and opinions expressed in this documentary does not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of YouTube or any of its employees. Viewer discretion is advised.
In the end, I really enjoyed Us. It had what I was looking for a movie like this, where I get out and I'm like, I like The Outer Limits, I like The Twilight Zone. This reminded me of that.
You're traveling through another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. It is the middle ground between light and shadow, between science and superstition, and it lies between the pits of one's fears and the summit of one's knowledge. You are now traveling through a dimension of imagination. You just crossed over into the Twilight Zone.
Strength and honor.
Strength and honor.
Strength and honor. At my signal, unleash hell.
Us, the new and fascinating horror movie written and directed by Jordan Peele, is unlike any horror movie ever made. Jordan Peele is a master at hiding signs and symbols in his movies that usually have fans theorizing about the hidden meanings behind his films. But with all the conspiracy theories floating around online about the movie Us, what is it about this movie exactly that nobody is talking about? Is there a deeper and hidden meaning behind this film that has yet to be discussed? Today, on Up TV, we're going to take a deep dive into the world of Us and discover the real scary truth about Jordan Peele's new movie. If you haven't seen this movie yet, then I must warn you, there will be spoilers. My name is Devin Worlds, and this is Us.
You know how sometimes things line up? Coincidences?
Around roadway system here that runs all the way to Maine, to Washington, D.C., to Colorado. It's fully stocked. It runs completely underground. And you can see they've been hauling tons of military equipment. You know, they're stocking all these bases. Now, the other thing is the railroad system here is also very strategic. They're bringing in boxcar loads and they're dump shipping here, and they can really deliver to all these locations, which these locations go all the way to Area 51. These locations go all the way to Washington, D.C. There's access underneath the White House to this location, okay? So this is a strategic location, which is really the new command center for the Illuminati and the United States government. Well, forget the United States government. This is a headquarters for the Illuminati. This is where they'll ship most of their supplies. When they go underground, they can stay underground for quite some time. And this is stocked with food, water, everything they need. It's an underground city. So this is the north entrance, and we're gonna go see if we can do some more digging.
The movie Us is a film that has many layers for audiences to peel back. Conspiracy theories, the truth about the United States, and even biblical messages are sprinkled in almost every scene of this movie. Us immediately begins with a bit of bone-chilling truth that has been tied to many well-known conspiracy theories for some time now. Across the U.S., there are thousands of miles of underground tunnels that have been long forgotten. They include abandoned subway tunnels, unused sewers or old mine shafts, and many have no clear purpose at all. Many conspiracy theorists believe that these underground tunnels are no longer just merely subway tunnels or old mine shafts. Some people believe that the United States government is using these underground tunnels as a means to stay off the radar of the public. They believe that the government is trafficking secret technology to places like Area 51, and through these secret tunnels, they have access to almost anywhere in the U.S., including but not limited to the White House, the Pentagon, and possibly even your local Walmart.
Well, the Jade Helm videos, a lot of them are saying about Walmart closings. When the first of the Walmart closings started, they started talking about how they were putting fences around them and making them into federal camps, and people were hearing booming noises right before they did that at the one in Ohio. And I've been living in Blythewood here for the last year now, and I've been hearing booming noises, and that's been kind of frightening me, because when I heard one of the videos in the Ohio one saying that they heard booming noises, that showed that they were talking about building underground places. And there's been so many of these Walmarts being closed down and turned into these federal facilities and closed off. And when they take a Walmart from a town, that this is the only store that these people have to get everything from. There's only one other grocery store that's in this town. So why would you close down a grocery store that everybody, all these old people get their medicine from? That just says a lot. And I kind of feel like it's because we're a bunch of country folks out here, so we're not gonna like put a big old protest. And a lot of the people, when I talk to them out here, a lot of them don't know about Jade Helm, and they're not familiarized with a lot of the stuff. A lot of people say it's conspiracy theory stuff, but if you go to these other Walmarts and then you see what they're doing out in the West Coast, why is the federal government buying all this property out in the West Coast? The West Coast is one who's been fussing and fussing about it, and the East Coast just has been blind to it, and the media is truly being blind to it. Although there has been episodes where they've had some media people report on it, and then they got hushed up, very hushed up. And there's been reports of media people being hushed up as soon as they reported about it.
Not only do people believe that the government is using these underground tunnels to move tech and resources from one location to another, they also believe that the government has built highly technological cities underground. As far-fetched as it might sound, understand that many ancient civilizations across the world have built underground cities before. Imagine the type of cities we can make today with the technology we currently have. And some say you can gain access to one of these underground cities through tunnels that connect directly to the Denver airport. The Denver airport has long been a creepy mystery to unsuspecting travelers. The airport is filled with many murals that seem to suggest the world as we know it is coming to an end. People believe that this is the government's way of letting us know that they plan to escape the disaster by retreating to their underground city somewhere under the Denver International Airport. They even have a sign in the airport that says the New World Airport Commission. The problem with the sign is the fact that nobody really knows what the New World Airport Commission is or who the members are. But despite how you feel about there being underground cities, we also know for a fact that many underground bunkers have been built by the rich and the elite in an attempt to avert some type of upcoming disaster. What is it exactly that our government is trying to hide from us? The Bible in Isaiah chapter 2 verse 19 warns us that people will flee to caves in the rocks, into the holes in the ground, from the fearful presence of the Lord in the splendor of his majesty, when he rises to shake the earth. Could this be prophecy manifesting right before our very own eyes?
Operation Midnight Climax is part of a larger top-secret CIA program called MK Ultra. The goal: learn how to control and even reprogram people's minds. The CIA believes LSD might hold the key. Over the next 10 years, the agency doses a cross-section of the American public. Everyone from unwitting housewives to soldiers to even criminals like gangster Whitey Bulger is tested.
The fictional world of Us, created by Jordan Peele, is a world that is parallel to our own. The movie Us subtly reveals to us hidden truths about us, the US, the United States. This is exactly why the movie Us is so scary, and the reason why it feels like you're watching an episode of The Twilight Zone. Jordan Peele's movie Get Out was all about mind control, and in a way, you can say the movie Us is also about mind control. Us immediately begins with Jordan Peele putting us into the sunken place. The first thing you see is the Monkey Paw Productions logo with the spoon in the teacup from the movie Get Out. Also notice how the monkey paw is throwing up the occult sign for 666. Many people believe that this hand sign, along with the Baphomet hand sign, is used by MK Ultra handlers to keep control over the MK Ultra victim. The first thing you hear is the spoon stirring around the edge of the teacup. In Get Out, this sound effect was used as a form of mind control and ultimately was the way the mom sent her victims into the sunken place. This may be our first major clue that this movie, like Get Out, is indeed about mind control. Although done in a fictional way, it would appear that Jordan Peele is subliminally making us face a horrific truth about a historical secret that the US government and the CIA would probably prefer to keep covered up. Project MK Ultra, also called the CIA Mind Control Program, is the code name given to a program of experiments on human subjects that were designed and undertaken by the United States Central Intelligence Agency, and which were at times illegal. MK Ultra used numerous methods to manipulate people's mental state and alter brain functions, including the administration of drugs like LSD and other chemicals, hypnosis, sensory deprivation, isolation, verbal and sexual abuse, and other forms of torture. Fluoride is another chemical that people believe the US government uses to keep control over the American people. They say that the government does this by making fluoride mandatory for almost every public water system in the US. Not to mention, most major brands of toothpaste also contains fluoride. In the movie Us, the daughter Zora tells her family that the government is putting fluoride in the water to control us. When no one responds back, she says, "Oh, I forgot. No one cares about the end of the world."
When was the last time you stopped to think about the one thing you can't live without? No, I'm not talking about the internet. I'm talking about water. Without clean drinking water, life couldn't go on. So it's probably important that we know what's in the water we drink. For the past 65 years, city governments nationwide have been adding a substance called fluoride to the water supply. The practice of water fluoridation started at a time in history when asbestos, PCBs, and DDT were all deemed safe and effective. And although all of these chemicals have been banned since, fluoridation is still a common practice. However, it's uniquely American. The US has more people drinking fluoridated water than the rest of the world combined. In fact, most industrialized nations do not fluoridate their water, including Japan and 97% of Europe. So what exactly is it that we're ingesting? Well, it's not the same fluoride that's in your toothpaste. What's being added to municipal water supplies is a fluorine compound called hydrofluorosilicic acid, and it's a byproduct from the phosphate fertilizer industry. Yes, you heard me right. Let me break this down for you. Gaseous fluoride is produced during fertilizer production. Now, it used to go straight into the atmosphere from these factories, but presently, filtration devices are used to contain the toxic chemicals, and what's extracted from the filters is then condensed into a water-based solution, which is packaged unrefined and sold to city governments for the purpose of water fluoridation. So how did this all start? Well, interestingly, in 1944, the American Dental Association themselves published that it was not worth the health risk to fluoridate water supplies. Too bad no one heeded their warning, because the very next year, Grand Rapids, Michigan became the first community to fluoridate.
Hi, I'm Oprah Winfrey. I need your help. On Sunday, May 25th, I need you to hold someone's hand. It can be anyone you want. Your family, your neighbor, your best friend, even a stranger. Join Channel 7 and 6 million Americans coast to coast in a chain to help fight hunger and homelessness in the United States. Call 1-800-USA-9000 and lend a hand across America.
In the movie Us, many of the underground tunnels mentioned before were turned into government facilities where the United States government first cloned rabbits and later humans. The cloned humans living in these underground government facilities were called the tethered because they had a direct connection to their original counterpart. In the movie, we learned that the government wanted to use the tethered to control the population. On Sunday, May 25th of 1986, a public event called Hands Across America was formed, in which approximately 6.5 million people held hands for 15 minutes in an attempt to form a continuous human chain across the U.S. Hands Across America was a project of USA for Africa. USA for Africa produced the song We Are the World, which was written and sung by Michael Jackson. The combined revenues raised by both events raised almost $100 million to fight famine in Africa and hunger and homelessness in the United States. In the movie Us, we are left to assume that this was the government's way of testing the American people to see if they can be controlled by their tethered clone. Underground, Hands Across America was a huge success, but above ground, Hands Across America was considered a huge failure. Just as there were sections where the line was 6 to 10 people deep, there were also undoubtedly many breaks in the chain. However, enough people did participate that if an average of all the participants had been taken and spread evenly along the route standing 4 feet apart, an unbroken chain across the 48 contiguous states would have been able to be formed. But because this didn't happen, many people seen the event as a failed experiment. Realizing that the tethered couldn't control their counterparts because they had no soul, the government deemed the tethered as a failed experiment and left the tethered underground to fend for themselves, forever mimicking whatever their original counterpart is doing. For example, if the original person was feasting on a fancy meal, the tethered clone underground was feasting on rabbits to survive.
Hands Across America was a demonstration that holds the duality of America in it perfectly symbolically for me. This hope, if we hold our hands, will cure homelessness, will cure hunger. Was that it was well intended? Was that a solution, or was that a way of not actually dealing with it?
Knowing that the movie Us is constantly aligning with real life events, you have to really ask yourself if it's possible that human cloning is actually taking place in the United States. Here on Up TV, we created a documentary called Stop Human Cloning that gives some real insight on this topic. Although most people instantly dismiss the claims as just another conspiracy theory, there are still many people who believe that human cloning has been a thing our government figured out how to do a long time ago. Here is a short clip of a famous rapper by the name of B.O.B. talking more about it.
A lot of people that find out about this cloning stuff find it very frightening. And yes, it is scary. And a lot of that fear comes from the fact that we've been programmed to believe that we're the only sentient beings on the planet. On the plane. You can't hold on to old, obsolete beliefs that you've been taught. Like, everything that you've been taught is a lie.
When it comes to the movie Us, it should be clear to you by now that this movie is a movie about, well, us. Before the release of this movie, I did a full breakdown of the trailer. I talked about things like the meaning of the number 5 and why Jordan Peele used the song I Got 5 on it for this movie. I even talked about the common symbolism that I noticed in this movie, like the release date being 3/22 and the meaning of the checkered patterns that could be found in almost every scene of this movie. I don't plan to repeat anything I've already talked about in the previous video, so if you haven't seen it yet, please go check it out. You won't be disappointed. It's truly amazing that I was able to pull so much symbolism out of one trailer. It's not uncommon to see American Illuminati symbolism in a movie, but you'll be hard pressed to find a movie with the amount of symbolism that can be found in a Jordan Peele movie. If you're paying close attention to every detail and every prop in this film, You begin to notice Illuminati symbolism carefully hidden throughout this film. The pyramid is one of the most common Illuminati signs that people notice and point out. I never seen an actual pyramid in this movie, but I did notice a baseball pennant at the beginning of the movie when young Adelaide's father was playing a game at the amusement park. The pennant said the word pyramid on it. I've searched and searched online to find one similar to the one I seen in the movie. I couldn't find one pennant that had the word pyramid on it. Was this made just for the movie? Was this Jordan Peele's way of letting us know who he truly works for?
Yes. Yes. That's the most rewarding part for me, is to see people engage in conversation in things I'm interested in. And to, you know, I'm always trying to point my commentary at things that I feel like deserve conversation. So I love that, but I also, you know, just people looking for them Easter eggs is that's a treat for me. Sometimes people find things I don't even mean.
That you didn't mean.
When young Adelaide wanders off from her parents in the fun house with the Hall of Mirrors, one of the first jump scares for the movie was an owl that kinda just popped out of nowhere. The owl is another major Illuminati sign that stands for the Bohemian Owl. Bohemian Grove is a restricted 2,700 acre campground located at 2601 Bohemian Avenue in Monte Rio, California, United States, belonging to a private San Francisco-based gentlemen's club known as the Bohemian Club. At the edge of an artificial lake in the middle of the grove is a 40-foot owl statue that has been the centerpiece of a secret ceremony which takes place on the first night of the club's annual encampment. Performed after dark in front of the members, a small boat crosses the lake towards a group of dark hooded figures waiting at the owl statue, with a high priest who receives a human effigy from the ferryman, places it on the foot of the shrine, and sets it on fire. It's also interesting to note that on the back of the $1 bill, you can find a little creature. Some people believe it to be a spider because of the webbed background of the bill. Others believe it to be part of a skull and crossbone when turned sideways, but most people believe it's a tiny owl staring right back at you. And to no surprise, you can also find the Illuminati one-eye symbolism in this movie as well. But when it comes to mirrors, they have always been a product of superstition by almost every culture on Earth. Mirrors are considered to be portals to other worlds. They are also still used today as seeing objects for psychics, and fortune tellers also use them to predict the future. Some ancient cultures believed that mirrors reflected the shadow soul and could show the true nature of the person being reflected.
In verse 9 it says, "Then the Lord said to me, there is a conspiracy among the people of Judah and those who live in Jerusalem." And he's basically saying that even though King Josiah brought reforms to the people, there is actually a conspiracy, which is a conspiracy means a secret effort that is under the surface to do something either illegal or against the norm. And God says to Jeremiah, there's a conspiracy among the people. There's this reform on the outside, but it's skin deep. And beneath that, the people still, they long for their pagan practices and their pagan ways. He says in verse 10, look with me in verse 10, "They have returned to the sins of their forefathers, who refused to listen to my words. They have followed other gods to serve them. Both the house of Israel and the house of Judah have broken the covenant I made with their forefathers." And so God reveals here that to Jeremiah that this was a deliberate refusal. So he says in verse 11, "Therefore this is what the Lord says, I will bring on them a disaster they cannot escape. Although they cry out to me, I will not listen to them."
When it comes to symbolism found in the movie Us, there is probably none more important than Jeremiah 11:11. This Bible verse was shown multiple times throughout this film, and it reads, "Therefore, thus says the Lord, behold, I will bring evil upon them, which they shall not be able to escape. and though they shall cry unto me, I will not hearken unto them. Jeremiah often prophesies certain doom for the worship of false idols. This sounds quite a bit like how Adelaide's doppelganger Red believes she is being tested by God to lead the tethered from doom. Jeremiah's narrative in the Bible also coincides with the exile of the Jews in Babylon, which sounds similar to the exile of the tethered below ground. But Jeremiah 11:11 isn't just an old prophecy. We will see this same kind of judgment from the Most High in the last days. After 9/11/2001, many people started seeing the number 11 everywhere. So many people reported seeing the number 1111 everywhere they went that it was officially dubbed as the 1111 phenomenon. Many New Agers began to claim that this was spiritual ascended masters or angels speaking to people, but many believed that the number 1111 was the Most High's way of letting us know that the end is soon near. One search online and you can find many people telling their story of visions and dreams they had about the last days and how the number 1111 was one of many ways the Lord is speaking to us.
Man, this is like some therapy session right here.
Us is a movie that speaks to us on so many levels. But when it comes to the movie Us, it would seem as if Jordan Peele had one social message that he wanted to convey. The tethered living underground is actually a representation of the lower class of America, and everyone enjoying life above ground represents the higher class of society. Many of us become our own enemies when we allow the comforts of our own success and wealth to change who we are for the worse. Rich people fear the poor and even work to actively keep the poor broke. Time has shown us over and over again that if given the opportunity, someone from the lower class can be just as successful, if not more successful, than an individual who comes from privilege and simply just inherited their wealth.
You know, I've lived a privileged life of an American, grew up middle class, had an education, I've always been fed, I've always had shoes. And I've neglected I've neglected what that privilege means in terms of the people who have suffered and continue to suffer so I could have it. Yeah. We're connected to other people. Somebody made these shoes. Yeah. You know, so I think that was the part of the message that I wanted to then apply to the us of it, you know, the United States.
At the end of the movie Us, the tethered were indeed successful at forming a chain that spread across the U.S. The real Adelaide proved to us that they could do what we could not. When I ponder on this movie, I can't help but to think Jordan Peele was promoting the occult mentality of as above, so below, and so within, so without. This becomes clear when you begin to notice that everything happening above ground in this movie is happening below ground. The humans, for the most part, was able to control their tethered counterpart by expressing how they feel inwardly. But a tethered, if strong enough, can also control its human counterpart. We've seen both scenarios take place in this movie. Perhaps this was Jordan Peele's way of saying we are all connected in the great circle of life.
Hey! 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 Hey!
Jordan Peele, the creator of Get Out and the new movie Us, loves to hide signs and symbols in his movies. His movies are filled with double meanings and subliminal messages. But what are your thoughts? Did you notice the signs and symbols mentioned in today's video? Was there anything that you noticed that I missed? Sound off in the comment section and let me know what your thoughts are. And because there will be no Up TV without viewers like you, I would like to give a special shout out to William Johnson for purchasing 2 Up TV shirts. Words can't express how much I appreciate the love and support. Also, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Also hit that bell so you can get notified anytime I upload a new video. This is Devin with Up TV. I love you, family, and I'll holla at y'all later. Peace.
It's a little bit of a Rorschach test at the same time.
How so?
Well, in that, you know, different people can see different things in this movie because We all have our own personal demons. We all have our own personal us versus them.
Thank you for watching Up TV. If you like this video and would love to see more, check out these great videos here. And don't forget to subscribe to Up TV and Up TV 2 for even more great videos.